As you can see, got my crazy dog next to me still. Oh, God, here we go again. You finished? Oh. Obviously, I hope you can hear that whining because, my God. Anyone who's been watching the last week would see how much my dog is trying to impose himself onto this podcast. Hey, JJ? Oh, no, he's calmed down, thank God. The last couple of days we've been doing this, he has been very, for me, annoying. For you, probably entertaining, but we'll see. So welcome to another week of the Eureka Conservative Daily, a podcast where we look at all the events, news, politics of the day, and a podcast where we give you a quick look at the Melbourne weather and we to push back against the Islamophobia nonsense. And just for the sake that we think it's the right thing to do, we read a Bible passage out of this little book. Good news every day. And we just share our thoughts on anything. If you want, I give my rant. So some days the rants are strong. Some days the rants might be today a little bit on the lighter side. We'll see. Usually after a weekend, because I take time off over the weekend, I'm not quite as engaged into the politics. I get away from all that. There's not as well. There probably is as much to talk about, but I don't have as much to talk about. We'll see. We'll get into it. First up, let's have a look at that crazy Melbourne weather. And there she is out my window. She's overcast coming in. We had a bit of rain, cold. Not real cold, but cold. Probably going to get a bit of rain out of that, I'd say. So she's not the best day, not the worst day. We've had worse. We've had better. We've had a lot better. So we'll see. Here he comes again. I'm going to have him at my elbow, I think. Sorry, guys. Just got to get my power back in. My battery on my laptop lasts at least about an hour. This usually goes over an hour. You going to settle down? Yes, he is. Very good. So Mondays, we've always got 3 Bible passages because you got the weekend. So bear with me as I get through it. It doesn't take long. 15th, 16th, and 17th. Revelation. Here we go. This could be interesting. 4:1 through 11. Worship in heaven. We've been on the Old Testament a lot lately, so we're moved into the New Testament. The Bible gives us a few pictures of what heaven is like. Here is your dramatic vision of the glorious worship of God. At this point, I had another vision and saw an open door in heaven, and the voice that sounded like a trumpet, which I'd heard speaking to me before, said, "Come up here, and I will show you what must happen after this." At once the Spirit took control of me. There in heaven was a throne with someone sitting on it. His face gleamed like such precious stones as jasper and carnelian. And all around the throne there was a rainbow the colour of an emerald. In a circle around the throne were 24 other thrones, on which were seated 24 elders, dressed in white and wearing crowns of gold. From the throne came flashes of lightning, rumblings, and peals of thunder. In front of the throne, 7 lighted torches were burning, which are the 7 spirits of God. Also in front of the throne, there was what looked like a sea of glass, clear as crystal. Surrounding the throne on each of its sides were 4 living creatures covered with eyes in front and behind. The first one looked like a lion. The second looked like a bull. The third had a face like a man's face. And the fourth looked like an eagle in flight. Each one of the 4 living creatures had 6 wings, and they were covered with eyes inside and out. Day and night they never stopped singing, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was, who is, and who is to come." The 4 living creatures sing songs of glory and honor and thanks to the one who sits on the throne, who lives forever and ever. When they do so, the 24 elders fall down before the one who sits on the throne and worship him who lives forever and ever. They throw their crowns in front of the throne and say, "Our Lord and God, you are worthy to receive glory, honor, and power, for you created all things, and by your will they were given existence and life." Interesting. Revelation again, 5:9 through 14, a new song. This is August 16th reading. In John's Gospel, Jesus is called the Lamb of God. In the vision, the Lamb is worshipped by every living creature. They sang a new song. You are worthy to take the scroll and to break open its seals, for you were killed, and by your sacrificial death, you bought for God people from every tribe, language, nation, and race. That's very true. You have made them a kingdom of priests to serve our God, and they shall rule on earth. Again, I looked and I heard angels, thousands and millions of them. They stood around the throne, the four living creatures and the elders, and sang in a loud voice. The Lamb who was killed is worthy to receive power, wealth, wisdom and strength, honor, glory and praise. And I heard every creature in heaven, on earth, in the world below, and in the sea, all living beings in the universe, and they were singing, to him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb, be praise and honor, glory and might forever and ever. The four living creatures answered, Amen, and the elders fell down and worshipped. Don't think we're quite there yet, are we? Maybe one day. All right, August 17th, Psalm 46, 1 through 7. The psalmist knew from his own experience that the Lord God was his refuge in time of troubles, and that God had promised to be with him. This is probably very applicable to a lot of us. God is our shelter and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. So we will not be afraid, even if the earth is shaken and mountains fall into the ocean depths, even if the seas roar and rage and the hills are shaken by the violence. There is a river that brings joy to the city of God, to the sacred house of the Most High. God is that city. God is in that city, and it will never be destroyed. At early dawn, he will come to its aid. Nations are terrified, kingdoms are shaken. God thunders and the earth dissolves. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Now, you've got to sort of try and extrapolate the meanings of these things out. Don't forget the visions of humans who try and explain things in, what do they call it? Using parables. That's what Jesus used. And just, they try and get a message out by telling a story. And like I find sometimes at my hardest times, and I've had plenty of them, one thing that, for example, in that last patch, it's always given me, it's always given me comfort. I don't know why I don't do it more, but that's actually simply to go to church. Now, whether that's during a mass or even better, sometimes just to go to church when there is no mass and the church is open, and you can sit there and either kneel or sit quietly. And whether you pray or whether you just sit. And I've always found that comforting when I've needed it. So, you can, even in your own home, you can, I pray the rosary from time to time, should pray a lot more. I read those passages of the Bible out. Sometimes I read the Bible. I don't read it daily. I'm not that sort of person. Many times I wish I was. I envy those people that can be right into their faith and have that full belief. So I don't, for example, I believe I have faith in God. I have faith in the New Testament. I have faith in Jesus Christ and all the things in the Bible, but I don't go to church all the time, which is kind of nuts when you think about it. I don't go to confession all the time, which is nuts when you think about it. I don't say the rosary as often as I should, which is nuts when you think about it, because I have faith in that. And it infuriates me at times. And I get envious, which I shouldn't. Envy is a sin. But I get envious, as I'm saying, I'm getting all this blue sky coming through. I get envious of those who can do that. I was listening to one person one day, you were having to talk about God and the Holy Spirit and how he experienced the Holy Spirit. And I'm going, well, if that's true, you're one of the luckiest bastards on the planet, because I've never come close to experiencing it. Maybe I have, maybe I didn't realize it. But I never had one of those events where I could go in front of people and say, I experienced the Holy Spirit. I never did it. So maybe I'm not looking in the right places, or maybe I'm not one of those people who've been chosen to receive the Holy Spirit. I don't know. I would love that encounter. I really would. Coffee time. Oh, that didn't go down right. So I really... so in that last bit, God is there. through your deeds, it was interesting. If we read up through the Titanic, and as the Titanic singing, the band was playing a Christian song. There was a priest. You see it in the film Titanic, who was saying prayers for those who are about to die, who are about to pass over into the next life. You read about it on in wartime when people are in the trenches and they're about to go over the top, or they're on the, they're at the end, and they'll say a silent prayer. We all, when we're in our most difficult times, we're in times of deep sadness. You might have lost a loved one. When we're in times of financial threat, we're in times of, thankfully I haven't experienced this, but I can only imagine how many people have when they're in a war zone and they feel they're in their last moments. So many of us reach out to God, even those of us like me who might have a bit of faith in it, but haven't really practiced it as thoroughly as they should have. So that's what their last thing's going about. So it's quite a beautiful psalm when you sit down and think about it. Anyway, that's enough evangelizing for one day. I hope that helps you. So I want to experiment on something today. This is following up on those student protests from last week. And I had this thought just last night. So I'm going to share this with you because I'm sick of Australians being called colonialists, fascists, Nazis. You would have seen that tape of Harvey Emony and that young guy yelling something about Nazis. I think it was F off Nazis to Harvey of all people. But I want to, new tab, here we go. I want to type in something here. And the other part we get accused of is being colonialists. I'm going to put in here, what were the most common occupations in Australia in the 18th. So this is an AI search on Google, just a simple little search. Let's see what the most common occupations in Australia were in the 1800s. Here we go. There's them. Shearers and drovers move large numbers of sheep and cattle across vast distances. Farms and agricultural workers handled land clearing, planting and harvesting. Miners surged in numbers during the gold rushes. Now, when we say miners, they're not the miners of today. There's your little miners with their mine certificates. Bullock drivers and teamsters transported freight, wool and supplies. Blacksmiths, forged tools, hardware and fitted horses. Carpenters and builders constructed early colonial houses, shops and infrastructure, which we still see to this day. Cobblers, shoemakers, frequently nicknamed snobs, repairing and making footwear. Wheelwrights, built and repaired heavy wooden wheels for carts and wagons. Domestic and urban workers. Domestic servants form the single largest category of employment for women in the 19th century's towns and cities. Seamstresses, or seamstresses and tailors, produce clothing and garments. Scavengers and labourers manage manual urban sanitation, street sweeping, and general construction. So I had a quick search on that, if I'm being honest, last night. And the reason I did that, I thought, we get all these accusations of Australians being colonialists, fascists, all this sort of thing. Reading through those occupations, do they sound like colonialists or fascists or Nazis to you? You know what they were? They were hardworking people. Hardworking. None of those, you wouldn't have gone into those occupations with a degree. You would have gone into those occupations at about 14, 15. And these were either people that had travelled halfway around the globe, or they were the sons and daughters of people that travelled halfway around the globe. And they left where they'd lived in predominantly England or the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Ireland, and they came across here looking for a better life. That's all it was. They had tremendous courage to going into a country they didn't know because they'd heard things about that country and thought, can't be any worse than where we're living. And they didn't come over with to the teeth. They didn't come over with a colonel in charge. These were ordinary citizens who came into an unknown. It was like going from here to the moon, here to Mars. And yes, you created a colony. A colony is not an evil word. You created a new town, a new city, a new civilization, a new country, and you built it from the ground up. It's like starting a new business. There's risk. I mean, you're going into a country where it has natives you know nothing about. Where natives that might naturally want to defend their homeland and kill you. But these people were prepared to take that risk. And then they were prepared to work 7 days a week, just work to build that better life. And you see a lot of that these days. And listen, there is a link between those early colonialists and immigrants today, where people do leave oppressed countries to forge a better life. And we should be able to find some commonality, some decent humanity with those people. It is the ones that come here that are looking to tear down what those people have built that are a threat to our common civilization that we've inherited from our forebears. But worse than that, worse than the immigrants that come over here with nefarious agendas, are our own citizens that were born here, their parents, all those that spit in the face of those early colonial settlers. Now, there's a big difference between a settler and a soldier. They want to settle in this country and create a new life for them, for their children, their grandchildren, and the ones who come after, like you and me. But those ones in the protest have no idea about that. Why? Because they've never been taught about that. They would have no idea about what our Australian citizens went through in the 19th century, the 18th century, the 20th century, and how they slowly but gradually built this nation. They will call those people fascists, Nazis, even though there's nothing a fascist and Nazi really hadn't been invented then. So these kids have just got no education. And, you know, they live in a country where you do still predominantly have freedom of the press. For example, I can get on here and have my podcast. And I'm not the press. But you've got all your major news networks, which, by the way, manipulate the news. So that's a whole different subject. But we still have democracy. We still can vote for whoever we like if you research your vote. You don't have to vote for a political party. I research my vote. It's a pity more people don't. And I'm critical of every single major party. Just this week, I had positive things to say. For example, and I'm also, I will give credit where credit is due. Last week, I've been spending my time saying, well, we've got to try and find a way to keep David Limbrick, a libertarian, in our parliaments. David Limbrick is a good man. He's an honest man. He's a man of integrity. You don't have to agree with everything he says, but everything I just said about him is true. Maura Deeming, she may have made a mistake with the Matthew Guy stuff. I think she was set up, but others say she made a mistake. Whatever it is, she's a good person. She's a decent person. We need people like her in our parliament, because when they make decisions, they will make decisions out of thinking about it for a long period, out of interrogating their own morals, their own values, their own soul. Is this the right decision to make? They'll be very considered decisions. They won't be making a decision because someone up in headquarters told them to. That's why I want David Limbrick to stay in our parliament. Is he the sort of ideological person that I align with? No, but I don't care. My biggest alignment, I don't even know, for example, whether David's a Christian. I would like a Christian, but there's certain Christians I wouldn't like. So Albo supposedly is a Christian, can't stand him. But, you know, you judge a person not by what they say, but what they do. And David, over a long period of time now, has been a man of integrity, honesty, and considered opinion, and is exactly the sort of person we need in our parliament. All right? And parliaments. You compare him to Lydia Thorpe. You compare him to Maureen Faruqi. There's no comparison. You compare him to any of the insane Greens that are in all our parliaments. 14% of our population votes Green. That's insane in itself. That's how indoctrinated our society's become, our youth has become. So we do have democracy. We can choose our politicians. We can vote for different parties. We do have courts of law, which are struggling at the moment. But we've got all the pillars of what should be a civil society that is the furthest thing from a fascist or Nazi or totalitarian regime you could ever imagine. Yet we've got our youth marching in the streets calling anybody who disagrees with them a fascist or a Nazi. I was watching a debate in America just this morning, and they had Tim Pool. I don't know, he's an influencer in America. He's a decent influencer. I can listen to him. He has varying degrees of whether I don't think he's a conservative. He's certainly not a liberal over there. That's a Democrat. He's sort of like me, floats in between and has an opinion on different people and just calls out what he sees. But he was surrounded by a bunch of rabid leftists who, again, called the Trump administration a fascist administration, said it had Nazis in its ranks, called Pete Hegseth, if you know who Pete Hegseth is, a Nazi because he had a Nazi cross on his chest. It's the cross of Jerusalem, you morons. That's how indoctrinated these people get. They don't do their research, just a simple little Google search like I did. And there's no excuse for not doing research. There's so many AI servers that you can actually put in a search and it can come back with a plethora of information. It actually puts down all its sources. So you've got that at your fingertips. Back in the 1800s, for all those drugs, they never had that. I mean, they would have to ride a horse or a cart or something hours upon hours to find a library, to just read a book. And there's no way they could read all the books. Nowadays, we've got it at our fingertips, and we're probably dumber today than what we were then. So when you're hearing all these attacks on our forebears, which I hate, attacks on our diggers, attacks on the settlers, attacks on the free settlers who came here after the first fleet arrived, attack on our forebears in the United Kingdom and Europe, saying what evil people they are, do your homework. Find out what the people of that time were really all about. And there were definitely its faults, as there are in any civilization. But there's well, I think it was Winston Churchill said something, capitalism is not infallible, but it's the best system we've come up with so far. And that's very true. But these kids want to tear down capitalism for socialism, despite the fact you've got example after example in history where socialism is one of the most evil regimes you could ever wish for. Evil. Slaughtered tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people. And if you want true fascism, true Nazism, then go down the road of socialism and you'll get what you need. So there's my rant. Arm yourself with information. Talk to your kids. If you can't talk to your kids, get them on here. I'll talk to them. I'd happily get half a dozen kids in a room and talk to them, a bit like what Tim Pool did today. But, it is hard talking to them because the indoctrination's so ingrained into them. And it fills me with a lot of fear about what's coming. And I'm not talking about the fear of these kids that have been indoctrinated. We saw thousands of kids take to the streets. What about the hundreds of thousands that didn't? You only need a minority in a fascist socialist regime. And when these kids say fascist, they don't even know what the word means. When you're saying F off Nazi and you're screaming in his face so he can't get a word in, that indeed makes you a fascist because you are oppressing someone's speech so you can get your speech out. You're silencing others so you can spread your misinformation. That is fascism in one of its most purest forms. So that's what they were doing last week. Get on Avi's YouTube channel. Have a look. Like I said, I've been critical of Avi on a number of things, but when he and Rukshan are out in those crowds, they are at their best. And they demonstrate how hypocritical these people are. They had the organisers, grown men and women, in their 40s, using kids. What does that say about these people? That were going around and they were pushing people away from, don't listen to him, he's rebel news, he's far right, he's a Nazi, don't talk to him. They don't want to talk to him because Avi would put forward a different narrative that contradicts theirs and exposes these socialist alliance bastards for what they are, truly evil pricks. That's what they are. So, arm yourself. And I'm not talking about with weapons. I'm talking about with information and knowledge. And then if you've got a kid like that, talk to them. More importantly, if you've got a kid who's not like that, talk to them even harder. Make sure they never go down that road. It's one of the things I'm talking about tomorrow night, 8 o'clock on my Eureka Conservative podcast, which goes for hours. I will be making an announcement this week and starting tomorrow. And I have a plan to push back against that narrative and edge our kids in a capitalist, democratic, centre-right way. The will teach the kids about capitalism and how good it can be. It can be bad. Greed can be bad. But capitalism also, which none of these socialists wants to talk, has dragged millions upon millions of people out of poverty and given them a life their parents, like our forebears, could only dream of. Do you reckon anybody with those occupations, those shearers, those bullock drivers, those drovers, you reckon they wouldn't switch their lives for what we've got now and enjoy? Of course they would. Life's a lot easier now. Life's a lot more happier now. So that was because of what they did. They built the path to what we enjoy today. So when they say, you got, I'm not saying we don't need to tear it down. Some things we do to get back to what we had. So when I talk about tearing down the system, I'm talking about replacing it with a better one. Now, and I'm not talking about a revolution or anything like that. I'm talking about ideas, thoughts, process, using the current system we've got to get a better system. So we should be always talking about those things. And hopefully through my podcast, that's exactly what we do. And hopefully at some stage it can gain traction, whether it be through me or someone else. I don't really care. In the end, we've got to do something that benefits this country. So anyway, good place to finish. But watch out for that this week. It's coming out. That was heavy for a Monday. Let's go into X. Oh, yeah, there's something to talk about. This will get talked about. Let's get into X and have a bit of fun. Monday morning, we should be having a bit of fun. Let's have a look. Okay, here we go. The Logies. What an absolute. Oh, is this what God said? This will be fun. The Logies just about. This is becoming like the Academy Awards. This little wanker here, he's 22. I don't want to say his dad would be ashamed of him. I think that would be wrong, but I don't see Steve Irwin being the same as Robert Irwin. I think it's like so many young ones who get into the celebrity class, they indoctrinate him. They get into his brain. When he's 32, 42, he's going to regret making some of these comments. He's just playing to the celebrity class because he's now a celebrity. If Pauline, that's a pity. I like this guy's been a good actor. If Pauline Hanson's mouth was this hard to open, the world would be a better place. That's a pathetic comment. Carl Stevanovic didn't RSVP tonight, but we saved him a spare seat. It's over there to the right, the far right. Yeah, it's so very funny. I mean, it's not actually funny. I mean, they're just playing to that crowd. This is why I'd be interested to see what the ratings were. I mean, I didn't even know it was on till last night. We're now going to know it's on. I didn't watch a single second of it. I never will, because they're just so up themselves. The celebrity class are a pathetic class of people. If I had a kid these days and they said they were going to go to be an actor or jump in the news or do that, I would do everything I can to talk them out of it. You're talking about integrity and honesty and morals. Well, if you don't want any of them, go into the media class. It's just pathetic. Been watching Dave Hughes with some interest. I'm still holding fire on there. He's endorsed Jess Wilson, which is a pretty big step for a guy who was a rusted-on Labor person. I'm still not 100% sure on him, but good on him. He could be turning. Yeah, man. It took home at a couple of celebs. Who was the other celeb? Let's have a look. God, my internet's a bit slow. I'm sorry, guys. Here we go. Okay. The 2026 Logie Awards have wound up in Sydney on Sunday night with Aussie Export. God. Robert Irving serving as the ceremony's youngest. Irwin was also up for tonight's top award, the Gold Logie, alongside I'm a Celebrity. Oh, so our Gold Logie goes to I'm a Celebrity. Oh, my God. It was perhaps a slightly awkward honour for the pair, given 10 recently axed the show, and it's not been poached by 7. It's now been poached with 7 salons. Why? I'm a Celebrity is probably the worst show on TV. I don't know why people watch it, but you're winning a Gold Logie because of that. Before those, let's get to it. Sam Pang, the Aussie comic with the bone dry wit, has hosted the last couple of Logies, but this time around he kept the lower profile until getting the night's biggest. Pang won the Gold Logie. Oh, how pathetic is this? He's a decent comedian, but that's all he is. Oh, my God. This shows you how pathetic our celebrity cast is. Oh, thank God I didn't watch this. Oh, my God, and they had her. After that Kathleen Kim win, Robert Irwin introduced the newest member of the Australian Zoo team. Oh, God's sakes. This was a lefty love-in. Andrew Denton, leftist. Simon Baker, the Best Supporting Actor Award. Simon Baker's a half-decent actor. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Thank God I didn't watch it. Oh, my God. Sorry, guys. I should not have shown you that. Bold. Robert Owen is taking a bold. I'm not a huge Carl Stefanovic fan, but he's left. Why do you need to have a crack at him? Why can't you have a crack at the people that are there in the room? Because he's on the far right, It'll be interesting to see what Carl says back. Sorry, guys, swig of coffee. Rumour has it the Orange Wave may be able to hit West Australia. Huge enthusiasm on the ground to support Luke Herdigan in the Secret Harbour by-election. Packed out volunteer meetings, more and more local people who've never been involved in politics putting their arms up in the air to help out. This was judged to be a safe Labor seat. Got to be careful when they show you meetings. I hope what they're saying is true, but you're naturally going to get a packed meeting before a by-election. That does not necessarily mean you're going to get the vote you need to win it. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to watch it, as it will the Victorian election. This is obviously from the march last week. Let's see what she's got to say to Harvey.
Because you are...
Harvey, you're not welcome here.
Why am I not welcome here? Am I the wrong kind of immigrant?
No, you're the right kind of
So
immigrant.
why did you tell me to off?
You're not welcome at this protest today because you are causing hatred and division.
I'm causing hatred and division.
Yes, you are.
There you go. You are not welcome here today. That's unbelievable.
You're saying that's the tolerant crowd.
I know that you're connected with the neo-Nazis.
I'm connected to...
I mean, if she had said Mossad, okay, all right, neo-Nazis, they hate Harvey.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I know you're connected with Hamas terrorists.
I'm actually-
There I actually have proof about it.
That is
neo-Nazis
That is
hate
not
me
Hamas
almost as much as you and Hamas terrorists hate me.
I don't hate.
I know you don't hate Hamas terrorists.
I don't hate anybody.
You do. I know you don't hate Hamas.
I love
God, no.
all people.
No, you don't.
You
You
are
hate
supporting
Jews
hatred
and then you gaslight
Look
us
at-
by pretending
I'm
we're the
Jewish,
one.
mate. You dickhead.
Have you heard of coupos? Look it up. You'll be in the mirror.
And that's where Harvey's at his best. If you don't know what a capo is, they were the Jewish guards at concentration camps in World War II. And they also helped man the trains that send Jews into those death camps. So they're very much hated by the wider Jewish community. And the ones that support, well, if you support Palestine, he's right, you support Hamas. I mean, the Palestinians voted in Hamas in an overwhelming fashion. They breed their fighters for Hamas. They act as human shields for Hamas. They joined Hamas in the October 7th attack on Israel and the kidnapping of those Israeli citizens. They celebrated in the streets when the fighters brought dead bodies and even obviously the hostages back into Palestinian towns and areas. They were dancing and spitting on the dead bodies of women. I mean, they're 100% that way. So, and there she is as a Jew supporting them. Incredible. This is interesting. So this guy has sadly committed suicide, but now they're blaming all the media and influencers that were getting into him. So a black Cambridge professor dies after resigning amid explosive plagiarism allegations, and the British political and academic class immediately starts talking about racism. Aaron Dugmore was 9 years old. He's one of the few white children in a school where roughly 75% of pupils were non-white. His family said he was subjected to racial abuse, including being told that all white people should be dead, before he was found with a cord around his neck. Britain never made a name. He's not made his name a national cause. Ask yourself why. I wrote an article about this link below. So this guy on the left, he lied about everything. He lied about his qualifications, plagiarism. He got caught out. Doesn't matter the color of his skin. He got caught out and he got exposed, and he just could not handle it. So he sadly took his own life. But you can't blame him being exposed for plagiarism as the reason he took his own life. He took his own life because of his own stupidity. You know, it was him who lied about his qualifications. He lied about his life experiences. He basically lied about everything. And if anyone is to blame outside himself, it is the leftists within the academia that put him in the positions as a professor without looking at his background. They're the ones who are ultimately responsible. But she's right. How many white men, how many white boys take their own lives every day of the week and we never hear anything about it? That's not labelled racism. She's 100% right there. This whole gun debate's just stupid. We back up with Harvey. Let's have a listen to Brobo. Always has some good stuff up. Let's see what they've got here.
Wait, no.
I don't give a fuck.
That's assault.
I don't give a fuck.
We've got that on camera. Sorry.
Charge me. Probably will. Charge me.
Yeah, we will. Don't worry.
Do it. You don't fucking belong anyway. Okay. Do it.
Why do leftists, this has always been curious to me, why do leftists go out of their way to present themselves in such an ugly manner? I mean, no, I'm talking both physically, the way they present themselves when they dress, their speech, everything. It's just ugly. I mean, I don't know what the attraction to it is.
I thought you guys were for open borders.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I thought you were for open borders. Why are you trying to close us out?
Yeah, fuck off. Get out of here.
I've become
I'm fucking at you.
Identify as a woman, though.
No, you fucking good for you. Keep it tight.
Settle down, love.
Pardon the French.
How do you know? Thanks, mate.
And a lot of them are girls. What the hell is going on with their girls? It's nuts.
I identify as I do.
Identify here.
And these are schoolgirls, obviously.
You're the first person that's actually been punched.
Let's go.
How do you know?
You just misgendered me?
Oh, what I love is that he did the same thing.
If they
mean, how did those kids get to that point? At some point, they would have been just like any normal kid. How did they get to the point they're walking the streets dressed like that, speaking like that, embracing that sort of ideology? I mean, their parents should be shot, whoever their parents are. Let's have a bit of fun when cat meets dog. This has always got to be fun.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Cat's holding his...
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Is this cat going to move or what?
No.
Uh-oh. Psst. Hey. What the hell?
Cats are notorious for this. Don't know why this guy, if he walks his dogs, he should know it.
I trust this guy.
Cat's not moving. That needs to be us in the centre right.
What are you doing?
The cat's standing his ground, you idiot. Go around
in between you. Don't you dare.
Don't know what this guy's trying
They're
to
all
do.
claws, yeah? Look at you. You're a bit scared, aren't you? Huh? What are you doing, puss?
It's a bit of a nothing burger. I thought that'd be a bit
It's
funny.
unbelievable.
I don't know why he finds that unbelievable. I walk this one, and I've had cats do that numerous times. They just stand their ground. And it winds him up too. Mind you, some of them will bolt from him, but I do. He's a guy that he's a bit like what I was saying about David Limerick, Ricky Gervais. Now, his speech at the Logies was brilliant. Ricky Gervais just donated $180,000 of his own tour profits to free the last 150 bears trapped in tiny cages in Vietnamese bear pile farms forever. If that's true, that's amazing. Oh, here we go. The newest police graduates.
Hi, my name's Rose. I'm from Logan and I'm going to South Brisbane.
My name is Malachi Tanner. I'm from Innisfail and I am getting posted back to Innisfail.
I'm Peter and I'm from Townsville and I'm being posted to Mareeba.
Jeffy I'm from Darwin and I'm going down to South Brisbane.
Ellie Willoughby Dwyer. I'm from Cairns and I'm heading back to Cairns.
Hey, my name's Joey. I'm from Greenbank and I'm going to Logan.
Hi, my name's Rose. I'm from Logan and I'm going to South Brisbane.
My name is Malachi Tanner. I'm from Innisfail and I am getting posted back to Innisfail.
Not too
I'm
sure.
Peter and I'm from Townsville and I'm being posted to Mareeba.
They put the gut fear of God into me, David. Not like the old coppers we used to have. Let's have a look at that. This is interesting. The Chinese aren't stupid. They deliberately allow robots to fail to make them seem human. So Asia adapts and accepts robots as a part of life and thrives without the trauma of being replaced. The West remains terrified and gets bitter about being replaced before it even happens. Let's have a look. This could be interesting. Not too sure of the point of this. Why would you program any of this into a robot? That doesn't impress me at all. If you haven't read the story about this guy, what's his name? Oliver Sean Anthony Conroy. He thought he was going on a date, but he never came home. The details of this poor kid getting killed, I shouldn't say getting killed, getting slaughtered, is disgraceful. I say African savages. They tied him up, they beat him, I think they stabbed him, and then they dragged him behind a car for 1.6 kilometres, tearing him to shreds. He survived in hospital for 13 hours before passing away. You hear? I haven't heard anything about this on the mainstream media. And they ran over him. You know, so once they dragged him, they then backed over him. Absolute bastards. If there was a death penalty, these guys should be getting it. They walked away from the game. The state banned them for it. In February 2023, the girls' basketball team at Mid-Vermont Christian School faced a choice no team should have to make. Rather than compete against an opposing player as born male, they chose to forfeit their playoff game, standing on the belief that God created male and female with real physical difference. It cost them the season. Well, there's a stand of integrity. The Vermont Principals Association responded by banning the entire school, not just from basketball, but then from every sport and even academic competitions like spelling bees and math meets for 2 straight years. Students were forced to travel out of state just to compete. The school fought back. In 2025, a federal appeals court ruled Vermont's punishment was not neutral. It was hostile to the school's faith. This spring, the state agreed to pay $566,000 in damages and legal fees. This was never really about one basketball game. It was about whether a Christian school can hold its convictions without the government punishing it into submission. Mid-Vermont Christian didn't back down, and in the end, they didn't just win their case. They won the right to stand on faith without fear. Do you think the school made the right call to forfeit? Absolutely. Good on those girls, good on their coaches, good on their teachers. We need more of that, far more of that. A pantomime horse isn't a horse. A hot dog isn't a dog. Crow's feet aren't feet. Trans women are women. So true. Oh, God. I just can't listen to her anymore. I'm just trying to find something good because I haven't saved anything over the weekend, guys. I'll have to get better hours, including miles and miles. Let's have a listen to what this guy's.
A Christian nation.
Okay, here's 30 seconds of your former president gaslighting you. And then after this, I'm going to share some real history with you. First, here's the clip.
We are no longer a Christian nation.
We do not consider ourselves a Christian nation. The United States has been enriched by Muslim Americans. Since our founding, American Muslims have enriched the United States. Islam has always been a part of America's story. There is a mosque in every state in our union and over 1,200 mosques within our borders. Let there be no doubt, Islam is a part of America.
Okay, so he does say something there that was really factual. But first off, America was roughly 98% Christian at our founding and effectively 0% Muslim. In fact, for the first 200 years of our nation's history, we were 90+% Christian. We have such profoundly Christian roots. But what he did say, that Islam has always been a part of America's story, that is actually true. Let's look at that story though. Here's the history. So America is a fresh new nation, just won our independence from Great Britain. We no longer have the protection of the British Royal Navy. And Muslim states, the Barbary states, start attacking our merchant ships. They start enslaving American sailors and they start holding them for ransom. So much so that in 1 year it added up to about 16% of the annual federal budget, how much they were extorting us for ransom. So Thomas Jefferson goes over to meet with the ambassador from those Muslim states, and here's what he said. You gotta hear this. We took the liberty to make some inquiries concerning the ground of their pretensions to make war upon nations who had done them no injury, and observed that we considered all mankind as our friends who had done us no wrong, nor had given us any provocation. The ambassador, the Muslim ambassador, answered us that it was founded on the laws of their prophet, that it was written in their Quran, that all nations who should not have acknowledged their authority were sinners, that it was their right and duty to make war upon them wherever they could be found, and to make slaves of all they could take as prisoners, and that every Muslim who should be slain in battle was sure to go to paradise. So the only real solution was to raise up a powerful navy that could beat back these Muslim states, and that's what we did. Almost every ex-Muslim will tell you the same hard truth. Their behavior looks really different when they don't have power versus when they do have power. People in the UK will tell you that same story. We should not be welcoming the spread of Islam in this nation because Islam is fundamentally incompatible with Christian-based Western civilization.
Can't argue with that. It's an ugly fact. I don't know whether we're going too far down the path to bring that back at all. Oh. All right. We got to finish with this. I love my puppy videos. How gorgeous. Look at that pup. Like this one. He's beautiful. He just wants his food. Oh, that'd be so hard to do. You got to do it, though, as a trainer. Oh, he's looking. He knows now. That's the way you do it. Yeah, beautiful. What a beautiful pup. That's a good way to finish off. Like I said, it's a bit of what they call the media a slow news day. Hold on. Get rid of that puppy one. So, yeah, it was a bit of a slow news day. But like I said, with all these things, arm yourself. Get some information. Talk, and again, talk to the kids that haven't been indoctrinated before they get indoctrinated. Don't forget those kids you're seeing on those clips, those girls we saw. If you've got a daughter, they could very well be going to school with your daughter. They could be going to sleepovers, parties, playing sport with them. And the one thing that has more influence or can have more influence than parents, especially weaker parents, is peer groups. Don't underestimate peer groups. You get your kids in the right peer group, you're going to be okay. You get them in the wrong peer group, and that's when you're going to have problems as a parent. So you need to put the morals, the values into your kids as soon as you can. So when they're at school, they'll steer away from that peer group. If you don't have those conversations, that's where you're going to lose your kids a bit. And in many instances, you're going to lose them a lot. So if you've got kids or grandkids, sit them down, have those chats, have those talks. I don't have kids or grandkids, but with my players, I have those talks all the time. I do my bit to make sure that flag stays as she was and as she is and as she should be going into the future. So on that note, God bless you. God bless your kids. God bless your grandkids. God bless your pets. God bless that flag. God bless this country. And we'll see you tomorrow with maybe a bit more juicy stuff. We'll see. But slow Monday after a very slow weekend. See you, everybody.